So welcome to another match preview where we look ahead to the visit of Slough Town to the Gallagher, where the Stones are still looking for their first home league win of the season. So you've hopefully already seen our Ebbsfleet review and FA Cup draw reaction video online earlier this week. So we shall dive straight into Slough and start with their goalkeeping department. Charlie Horlock joined in the summer of 2024 from Eastbourne Borough, ex-Stevenage and Wickham. He also managed to register his first career goal in November 2023 as Hitchin defeated Halzo in town. He also saved a penalty late in that match. He was a very busy boy. Hugo Sobter is in his second season there. He's got 5 appearances last season, undefeated in all of those as well. He's yet to feature this season, however. So a new number one, Nigel, with EFL and goal scoring experience. We certainly never had a note of players like that before here.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? After the grovelling exploits of we had here last season, but yeah, he's an experienced keeper, isn't it? It's probably one of the reasons why Slough have started the season so well. It's that continuity that we talk about, isn't it? As well, he's obviously a goalkeeper that Scott Davis, their manager, trusts, and he's got that rapport with the back 4, 5/3, whatever they sort of players we come on to do shortly. And then again, they've got a youngster there as well that's just sort of like most teams have, and just sort of gaining that experience and bedding them in, sort of thing, really.
So in defence, Bally McCumbie is a youth product and vice-captain of their EDS team, their youth set-up this season. Dan Bayliss joined the club in May 2023 from Bracknell Town. He scored twice against Tunbridge Angels in their last league outing. June Mal Prosper signed from Chesham United following the conclusion of the 22-23 season. He's a current Dominica international. Josh Jackman joined in the summer of 2016 from March Town. He won the Players' Player of the Season and jointly won the Golden Boot Award in 22-23. He got 6 goals. And Lexis Beeden joined in June from Carshalton Athletic. So, goals and experience in the Slough backline this season there, Nigel. And surprised to see a Golden Boot in the backline there. Bit of an odd one.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting with Slough, isn't it? Because they're like your archetypal sort of top 10 National League South team pushing playoffs. They're always up there. I mean, as we'll come on to shortly in the video, they've got a very good record against Maidstone. We're not, apart from that opening day win last season, we've not fared too well against them. And I know there's been different circumstances, but yeah, they're just, and obviously Temmie's come from there, isn't he? Again, he's a goal scoring centre back, and we've seen so far. So that's obviously the way they like to play Slough. They're very good on set pieces. They try and catch you on the break, whether they're playing at home or whether they're playing away, and they kind of set up like that. They're the sort of like the team that no one sort of fancies, aren't they? But they're good enough on their day to consistently get the results. And as I said, it's proved with their starts for the season as well. They've been up there pretty much since day one, haven't they? And I just think it's just, it's like we've said all along, and with a lot of these videos, if you've got that settled back line and you trust the manager, trusts you, and you trust your manager, especially being a player manager as Scott Davis is with all that experience,
managing on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. They've got a really good setup there, and it just works for them. Maybe there's no superstars there, but they all know their roles within that team. They all know their units. They all know the patterns of play, and it's just week in, week out, year on year, they just keep churning out those results, don't they?
Yeah. So the midfield consists of Dan Roth, who signed in the summer from Beaconsfield Town. Lovely services there. He's had time in the college football system in the US of A. Henry Ochieng joined the club in July 2024 from Chelmsford City. John Gilbert joined from Walton and Hersham this summer. Leon Chambers Parallon. He rejoined in July 2023. Oliver Spicer, another EDS youth graduate who made 8 first-team appearances last season, and he also featured for England under-18s. He bagged himself a goal and an assist in a 4-0 win over Ireland in April this year. Reece Mather is a youth player who made his debut in the FA Cup this season against Chichester City. David Ogbonna joined in the summer of 2023 and was the 23-24 Manager's Young Player of the season. And of course that manager being Scott Davies, the player manager. He's been in that role almost 2 years now. He originally joined the Rebels in March of 2018. There's plenty of EFL and National League experience. And Nigel, the weekly youth and experience blend moment, but you don't get more experience than Davies, do you?
Absolutely, he's been there, done it, and got the stories to go with it, hasn't he? And like I say, there's a good setup down at Slough. They're not like any expectations on them, but they go about their business, and they obviously know the level. And Ogbonna last year, he's a standout player.
Yeah.
I think Connor and I did that game,
Yes.
and that was just before the Ipswich game. But yeah, he's a pacey winger, and you've got to be on your toes, because he does look to get in behind and cut inside, and all what you expect from the traditional winger. So and coming from deep like he does from midfield, you've got to sort of pick those runs up and stop that happening. So yeah, again, as we said in a few reviews, when we were doing the Worthing one, these games are going to come thick and fast now. They're all games that we've played a lot of the newer teams that have come up, and we've sort of gone about our business there. But we're now coming into that period where we're playing your traditional like National League South teams that know what the league's about. They're not they're not inexperienced. They've got that good mixture of experience and blend of youngsters coming through. Like you said there, they've recruited from Beaconsfield and Bracknell and Wardenhurst, all clubs that are in and around that Slough area. So they've obviously got a good sort of scouting network there. They can identify that up and coming talent, and it's just like it's going to be another one that we've got to be on our mettle. We're seeking that elusive first win in the league.
One day.
I mean, it came pretty early last season, didn't it? Because it was literally the opening day of the season, wasn't it? But yeah, and that was against Slough. So hopefully the omens will sort of go in our favour. But it's not a gimme at all. It's got to be a hard work, and it's going to be a cracking game, I think.
So up front, Francis Amati recently rejoined the club for a third spell after originally signing in February 2019. Gary Abisogan joined from Bracknell Town in May of last year after 32 goal contributions in their 22-23 season, and he's played against Ipswich Town in the FA Cup. And we know a few chaps who've done that too. Jack Timblake, he's on dual registration with Badshot Lee. It's not a nickname, that's a club. Kweku Lucan joined after a successful pre-season trial period. He'd previously been at St Albans City, Biggleswade Town, Wingate and Finchley, Billericay Town, Hanwell Town and Carshalton Athletic. Sounds like most of their scouting list we've already said there, Nige. And Carshalton last season, he was there. Sam Evans scored in the most recent league outing, that 3-1 win against Tunbridge Angels. He scored 16 goals in each of his last 2 seasons at Hanwell Town and Bedfont respectively. And Slavy Spacov, a form striker. He's got 9 goals so far for the club. He comes in with 4 in 4 in the last festive period and 5 in 6 just recently this season. He joined the Rebels from Hungerford last December. So Nigel, forward line certainly fired Slough up the table so far this season, as we've already alluded to.
Yeah, Spacov is the one, isn't he? I think that's one of the reasons why they let Minis go, was it, at the beginning of the season?
Yes.
Because he was much lauded, and they thought he was going to be the one that was going to step up and get all the goals from. But Spacov has stepped up to that role and is scoring regularly for him. And then you've got Francis Amati. I mean, he's been in around National League. I think he was at Aldershot a few years ago, and he was touted then as a good prospect coming through, but didn't really hasn't really had the opportunities at National League level, but certainly found his feet at the National League South level. So again, it's that sort of like options there, isn't it? They can obviously play the one up top if they want to sort of load the midfield, or they can play with traditional wingers and go the 4-4-2 system. So again, it's going to be, as I said, it's going to be a tight game. These are the games that like we said about the Worthing game. If you're serious about challenging for promotion and at the top end of the league, these are games that you've got to be putting in the performance file, and you've got to be taking 3 points because, especially being at home. I know we said with all bad runs, the longer that goes on, that winning run goes on, the more the pressure ramps up, doesn't it? I mean, again, it's been alleviated somewhat by the FA Cup performances this year, but your league form is your bread and butter. And like I say, if you want to be up there challenging, you've got to be sort of like turning in performance against these teams and actually picking up 3 points, and then we'll start climbing the table, and that pressure will release, and it'll become a lot easier. But it's. Yes, I'm sure George will have them up for it, and Craig and the rest of the team. They've got a 4 weeks training behind them, and they'll have their plans in place, and I'm sure that we'll be fine. But again, it's just they're coming thick and fast now, the games, isn't it? So
they are busy times. So Slough's form, they found themselves in 4th place recently, 2 points off top spot before the weekend's FA Cup matches split the South action in half. 6 wins, 4 at home. 3 defeats, 2 of those away, and a draw at Eastbourne. Only 1 league win in the last 4 before their loss at Woking in the FA Cup. So Nigel, Slough did get off to a flyer this season, but they've slowly slipped a tiny bit down the table since then.
Yeah, that's that balancing out, isn't it? We've said about after that 10-game period, you sort of find the front runners and that either die off or they stick around, and they just seem to be in that. They were sort of like the ones that were on the outside pushing in. I think they had a good sort of opening set of fixtures, and they've managed to win those games, and they found themselves at the top end of the table. But I'm sure they'll be. They're always going to be competitive, aren't they? At that level, teams have got to be on their A game to sort of beat them. So
always. Yeah,
exactly. It's just. You can't ever think that going into a Slough game it's going to be an easy game, because it's sure not going to be. It's one of those that, and we haven't. And the stats say we haven't had a good record against them in the last 3 seasons. I mean, even the National League season when we won the National League, we lost home and away. The only team that beat us home and away. We didn't get no points from that season. So they definitely know how to set up the player, so it's down to us to sort of combat that and come up with a plan that we can actually beat them.
So talking those head-to-head stats, half a dozen meetings in the last half a dozen years or so. Slough lead 3 wins to 2, with each of the last 3 victories being 2-1 to the home side. Stones opened last season at the Gallagher, as we've already mentioned, with a come-from-behind win before heading over to the Rebels, where Mo Fowle's equalising penalty was defeated by John Goddard's winner just 1 week before that infamous Ipswich Town match. So could the Stones have half an eye on their FA Cup journey again this time against Slough, Nigel?
There was a sort of a sense of because of the cup tie situation we had, we had players that had left, like Levi had left at that time, and we weren't playing with the team that we started with. But I think there's a lot more players around this year, so a lot more first team. So we've actually got options now. And we've said it before in our review videos and preview videos. The strength of the bench this year is that much better. Last year, I know it was Mo Fowle's first game, but we didn't have those options on the bench to change it, and because again, one eye was on the FA Cup game, but I'm sure that's not going to be the case this time. I'm sure we've got the personnel in the building now to be able to sort of combat any situation. Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. So if you can't make it to the game on Saturday, be sure to tune in to Fred and Joe from 2:40 on Stones Live. You'll see them on the hot take, and you'll hear them on the highlights once they go online a few hours after the game. When you're alone, is life is making you lonely, you can always play Slough Town. I've heard Petula Clark is a fan of the Rebels, apparently.
Oh, right.
Yeah. We'll see which town comes out on top and which town goes down this Saturday. Thanks for watching the latest preview. Like and subscribe. See you for our next preview ahead of the Aveley game. And as always,
come on, you Stones!